Wasanyang, the Permanent Secretary 1, the Ministry of Lands and Regional Government. The ministry actually supervise and then manage the land and land resources, and also decentralization, and supervise the community developments and the NGO affairs in the country here. Access to land is having, I think, 4 ways to acquire land in this country. It's either a state allocation, you buy it from a rightful owner, or you inherit it from a rightful owner, or it is a gift from a rightful owner. These are the 4 ways that a land can be acquired to this country, in this country, sorry. These 4 ways, in each of these 4 ways, in as much as it is acquired the right way, the person who owns that land, we make sure that person have the access to that land and then be able to use it. But then in the our traditional setup, we have issues where people inherit land, and they have ways of how they divide or may segregate this particular. There might be a segregation in terms of sex or age at that level. But the ministry, as far as we are concerned, this is not something that we encourage. We try to support all sectors, all gender and age group to have access to land, either in the form of ownership or in the form of usage. Age, for example, a young person who hasn't attained the age of 18 as prescribed in the Constitution cannot be given land because of obvious reasons that may, if there are litigations, you cannot take that person to court. So that is the obvious reason why those age limits cannot be allocated by the state. But then that where they own, that's where the state help in protecting their right on those properties, and that the ministry is succeeded. That's why we have this coordinated system in place that is helping us to track. Once the land is been identified as owned by the particular family, we don't allow any other particular person to trade on that unless and until we have proofs and evidence that those transactions are real and then they are correct. Normally the challenges that women have in accessing land has to do more of our cultures and traditions, because we have different tribes having different cultures and traditions, and as such sometimes when families sharing land, and then they will virtually share it in such a way that male and women share are not equal, or sometimes are not even considered as part of the share of the land. But this is as our culture and tradition. I think we have to do more of sensitization on that side to make people aware of the fact that the right to land is for everybody, especially the vulnerable group, that is women and children. They have to be protected, and their rights have to be preserved and then protected by those leading those communities. That's why we have women representative at the level of the ward development committees and village development, because that's where the planning of the region itself starts. So they have to be part of those bodies so that their voice will be heard, and also what they feel will be heard and will be known. Because if they are not there, what they feel and what will not be known, they'll just plan around them. So that's why we involve them from that level. up to the level of the council. And even at the council, there is a nominated members where women groups are being given chance to be nominated to be part of the council, a councillor in the council. So these are all geared towards empowering women. So that on that part, the ministry is helping to attain that particular pillar of the National Development Plan. Yeah, the Land Commission is formed and they are functional. They are sitting almost on sometimes weekly basis. Their main objective is to look into land matters, conflict on land matters, and then advise in how to solve these problems. So people are normally advised to send their complaints to the Land Commission. But then we also always like to remind people that matters already adjudicated at the court and then judgment given cannot be reviewed by the Land Commission. But then the most important thing is lack of data. Because if there is data available, correct data available, we will be able to detect anytime you sell to one person, you want to sell to another person, it will be detected. We always have the technicians take coordinates of any property that comes to them for clearance, land use clearance, such that if another person comes again to look for clearance on that property, if they take your coordinate and put it in their system, they will detect that this has got clearance from this office before. So this, in a way, is helping us reduce those double allocations and double ownership or even double leasing. So they are not supposed to happen if we have a proper data system in place. People can be doing their double allocation or selling land to 2 or 3 people, but the data is what is key, because that is what is going to enable us at the level of the office to be able to only maintain one leasehold owner of that property. Land allocation to either people outside the Gambia or inside the Gambia, in as much as you are a Gambian, all have equal rights. Land allocation can come in 2 forms, that is residential and non-residential land. For residential land, government normally will create a layout, and when these layouts are created, they will advertise, and then people can get a form and apply. But then this is at no cost. You only buy a form, fill it, and then submit it, and then the application will be vetted, and then you will be allocated according to the priorities. For non-residential, that is for either institutional, industrial, and other uses like agricultural and the like. You have to fulfill certain conditions. One of which is you have to have that body, because that particular segment is government now telling you that you want to invest into this country. We want to give you our own contribution towards your investment in our country by providing you with land. Now you can come in so that whatever you are going to invest, you will not factor in the cost of land in the product of what you are going to sell to my people. And then you will have to get that particular business or investment registered in the country here. And then you have to get a business plan that has to determine how much land space you will need. You also have to get a plan of the structure that you are going to build there. And you have to get a proof of funding. Most of the time, these are the problem. This is where the problem lies. People will just submit, and then there is no proof that you can develop that land. So that's why now it is when we allocate, as per the Act, we don't normally give leases unless and until you have a substantial development on that property. That has been a condition in the State Land Act. So we try to enforce that now. Physical planning is, as the name implied, physically they plan the physical space of this country. That is in terms of land, in terms of buildings and the like. But they also have a unit that is a development control unit. They have a planning unit and they have a housing unit. Actually, in reference to this case in hand, that is the building that got collapsed in Banjul, 2 months before, that building collapsed, physical planning had an inspection within Banjul here with the planning officer at BCC. They went around to identify, to pick some of the buildings that are old and then to them are not fit for living. They mark these buildings and then they sort of come to analyze and prepare a report. It was during that period this particular building fell down. This is not an old building for that matter. This is about 10 years old. And then this has got a structural defect. Maybe there are some compromise in the reinforcements or something like that. But then as of now, our unit, physical planning engineering unit and the planning unit are working with the council, that is their planning unit, to come up with an analysis of what actually happened. But then they have a different role. The council have a planning unit, but that is purely within their areas that they control. But then the physical planning of Banjul and the buildings, that is purely the responsibility of physical planning under this ministry. There was an interreligious meeting organized here where we bring in the Christians, the Muslims for better understanding of each other's religion and know that we are the people living here as Gambians. Our religions might differ, but then our being citizens of the Gambia are one. So we need to understand each other. And from the center as well, we also have support to support these bodies. Last year, yes, the ministry, through the Ministry of Finance, gave some financial support to the Christian Council and also to the Muslim Supreme Islamic Council. And this year also we are doing that to support them also to run some of the activities. So the ministry is coordinating the activities and then trying to bring these bodies to have this collaboration so that they can understand that their role as religious leaders is very important in the stability of this country.
The Gambia National Petroleum Corporation is the country's national oil company. For the past 17 years, GNPC has continued to deliver excellent services to all Gambians, from individuals to corporate clients. At GNPC, you are guaranteed the best quality fuel in the Gambia. Visit our stations and stop by our auto spare parts store where you can find petroleum and lubricant products, wiper blades, and many more. All these provided without delay. With 10 service stations located throughout the country and still counting, GNPC gives you the best customer service anywhere, anytime. Think fuel, think GNPC, Gambia. It is now time to take ownership of what we own. GNPC, Nyokomom, the Gambia, our homeland.
The port is along West Africa's busy shipping lane, being the country's main gateway for international trade. The port of Banjul accounts for 90% of all imports and exports. The port of Banjul has been recognized over the years as one of the safest and most efficient in West Africa, offering prompt, reliable and value for money service. The port has well-developed facilities for handling all types of cargo using modern equipment and techniques. This infrastructure, combined with a competitive and flexible tariff and a dedicated workforce, ensures quality service to its esteemed customers at all times. The port acquired modern cargo handling equipment, ensuring high degree of operational efficiency, which guarantees fast vessel turnaround time. The port of Banjul is unrivaled in Africa for its simplified trade documentation procedures, thus fast customs clearance. It has a deep sheltered anchorage with no record of piracy, thus making it one of the safest in the sub-region. Gambia Ports Authority, ready to serve you better in line with its corporate mission statement, to excel as a leading maritime center for trade logistics and distribution.
The systematic cadastral mapping, what is geared to achieve is to bring in a mapping system that will map out the whole country systematically, and every piece of land will be mapped and will be documented. The project actually is at the planning stage. We're still planning the project. But what led to the concept and the actual planning of the project is, as we all know, in the country here, we have got a lot of problem in land management. Most specifically, most of the time, we will have double leases, and then we will have people fighting over land, even at the local level. This will help us to prevent or avoid double leasing, as well as it will help both government and local authorities to increase their revenue base, which we all know our country is a tax-based economy. This will significantly increase our revenue base, that is at the center, at the same time at the local level, because most of these councils don't even know on record, they don't have on record the number of compounds or properties within their jurisdiction. So this particular exercise will avail them that information, which will enable them to efficiently follow up those revenues that is due to them. Yeah, this is one of the projects that we are working to see it running quickly, because we realized that a lot of people are complaining that when they submit their list, it takes a long time for the list to be processed and to be completed. We decided to come up with this file management system, which will enable the ministry to track the file movements from the point of submission to the approval at the minister's level. And what it is going to do is that as a supervisor, if a file is in my genius office, for a period, we'll give it a period like 2 days, 3 days. After that, it will send a reminder, text to that person and also to the supervisor that this file has long overstayed in Mr. X's office, and then there'll be a follow-up. And also, we want to interact with the people who have sent this file, who are following this file. There's no need for people to go into the office. Once you submit your file, we want an automatic text to be sent to you that your file is being submitted. Then you know. When the file is being moved to the ministry from the department, you'll receive a text message. And then when the file is approved, the first approval, you will receive a text message, and then you will also receive an information. For example, a message will be sent to you that now you are supposed to go and do your payment for survey fees and other payments. Because what we also realize is some files are approved by a minister for surveys, but then the survey fee is not paid. And then this person is not contacted. The file will stay there for 1 year, sometimes 2 years, or some months, until this person engages the office. They say, okay, we've seen your file, but there was a survey fee pending. And this is something that can be done a day. But because of the person is not aware of this, sometimes they are not even in town. So it takes time. So when we have these messages pop into you, informing you about this payment, we believe that it will cut the period that the lease process takes.
Since from the inception of the department in 1977, the department has been supporting community groups.
The Department of Community Development, we have so many projects that we are running, or so many projects that we are into. There are others, we are the institution that has designed them and we are implementing them. Others are just partnership programs.
The Testo program is designed to improve the poverty status in the rural setup, and also to improve disinvestment. When you go to these rural areas, the basic needs are not being met. This is due to disinvestment. They do not have sufficient fund to embark on some of the activities that they need to embark on. The impact on the community group of the program is to enhance their participation in activities that improves their own livelihoods, and also to improve different services at the local level, and to increase the investment status on programs and activities at the rural setup, because we lack much of these activities at the rural areas. We target the program in such a way that we are able to reach the areas that poverty is prevalent, mostly North Bank, CRD, North and South, URD. Those are some of the areas that we target in order to ensure that the project have an impact on the poor people. Those were the beneficiary areas, the community people, and the poverty targeted areas.
But this other one, that is Zakeno, is a Mandinka name, meaning that we can do it. The main focus of the project is strengthening the capacity of decentralization structures, like the women, the village development committees, the ward development committees. We also have training with the MDFT, those are the multidisciplinary facilitation team, also the technical advisory committee. We give them equal training so that all of them are on the same page as to whatever happened in each of the levels. But the program was started for LRR and the URR. But this year, 2020, we have expanded to CRR North. So the program that we did, apart from the launching of the program, is mapping of decentralization structures, so that we know which village has a VDC and which village doesn't have a VDC. So that we know exactly which structures, which community structures are in those particular villages, which can be used so that they can be strengthened and given capacity so that they can serve their purpose. So that was the first second activity we do, that is mapping. We map 168 communities in LRR and 368 in URR. Total is 516 community that we went to and administer our forms. Then we just analyze those forms and wrote our report. So that mapping has been extended this year to other regions like CRR North, CRR South, West Coast region, and North Bank region, and the Greater Banjul area. That exercise is currently on. We also did another one called the Children on the Move, whereby we piloted it in CRR North and CRR South, whereby the MDFT were trained on how to manage cases of children, particularly if they have issues with their parents, children running or early marriage or some other issues, so they can identify those children, trying to counsel them, manage them. So we established subcommittees in various villages in selected villages in CRR South and North, Birkamba, Fulabantang, Boyram, Madina Falli in CRR South and North. It was 10 villages in CRR South and 10 villages in CRR North. So we were monitoring them to see what are some of the things that we are doing. So we are even fortunate. If you go to Birkamba, there were cases that they have identified children who were running. They found them in the market. They asked them. They just picked those, brought them. Then I counseled them. Then they found out that they had issues with their parents. Then they took them back to their parents and reunited them with their parents. And so many other cases where we are also found in other villages, and they are managed. So we found that it is a very important instrument, strategies that we can use to reduce some of the cases that are coming to the police. And we also link that child, we call it Child Protection Management Committee. We link it also to the police child protection unit, so that they can work hand in glove, so they can reduce some of the cases that are going to the police. Another activity that we do is now there's training of VDCs and double DCs on their role and responsibility on COVID-19 and development of community action plan. That one we are doing it currently. We are targeting around 138 communities. That is, we targeted 3 wards in LRR, 3 wards in URR, and 3 wards in CRR North. The LRR wards are Kayaf ward, Jikoko ward, and Bureng ward. So all the community in those wards, their VDCs have been strengthened and restructured if they need be, and they are trained on their roles and responsibilities, and they are also helped how to come up with a community action plan. So in Base, it is Base ward, Sutu Kondi ward, and the Kulari ward. So the training has been completed in those wards. In URR, you have Kuntaur ward, you have Panchang ward, and the Njao ward. But those one we have that 60 communities in CRL North. So also we also did another one that was specifically from the UNDP. UNDP also targeted 20 communities, 10 in LRR and 10 in URL, to help those communities outside those wards that I'm telling you, so that they can also have their VDCs restructured, and they are helped to develop community action plan. They are also equally trained on the IPC and COVID-19 issues. The Sakeno is purely funded by UNICEF and UNDP and also government. But 95% of the funds are coming from UNDP and the UNICEF. So the other 5% is coming from the government. The other projects like this EBA is a project that we have signed an MOU with. So there are activities that we implement on their behalf, and they used to fund all those. They just give us the fund that we go and implement the activity on their behalf. So we also have another one called RWSSIP. That is, but it's because of this COVID. It just started. We just signed a memorandum with them. So we are trying to go into implementation that it coincides with this COVID. So now everything is being suspended. So recently also this food security, small ruminant production sector project from the sponsored by the FAO. We also have we are on the process of signing an MOU with them, so that there are the capacity building aspect of it in the group management and leadership usually. Or if you have a project, community mobilization, usually any project that is now being implemented in the Gambia, if that project has a community mobilization component, they used to come here and we forge partnership with them, then that component is being implemented by us.
At the level of community development, I also serve as the focal person for the Antwerp-Banjul challenge. And basically what we do as far as the Antwerp-Banjul challenge is to support the department in terms of resource mobilization and funding of community self-projects through the Antwerp-Banjul challenge. Through this, the department is also able to increase its project portfolio in terms of the number of communities they can support, and the objective of which is to also complement government efforts in terms of facilitating and also supporting community development process in general. The idea behind the Antwerp-Banjul challenge is a group of individuals who will volunteer to mobilize funds by looking for support. Some will commit their personal resources, most of whom are in fact retirees from civil service. But because they want to support humanitarian cause in a third world country, they will buy a car or raise funds, buy a car, a roadworthy vehicle, drive it for a period of 21 days from Belgium to the Gambia, passing about 7 borders in a period of 21 days. One important component of the whole challenge is fun for them, because it offers them the opportunity to explore different countries using land. The other aspect of the challenge is, after completing a very long distance, you donate this vehicle for a worthy cause. How do you donate it? A grand auction is organized. Public is notified, there is advertisement, people are prepared, they will come to the challenge, participate, buy these vehicles at a very competitive prices. Then these monies are put together, then are all deposited in one account in the name of the two organizations, that is Community Development and Helping Hands. An account is created at one of the commercial banks where these monies are deposited. So, but before the auction, a selection criteria will be designed, and we have also developed a form that communities can use to apply these funds by identifying their priorities and develop a project proposal using that form that we provided. Then these submissions are done to community development and a screening process is done. On an annual basis, the Antwerp-Banjul challenge, after the auction of these vehicles, we will raise funds between 2 million to 5 million. In some instances, we'll even reach $8 million. And 85% of this fund is directly disbursed to support different community development initiatives. Interestingly, this year there will be no Antwerp-Banjul challenge. Same on COVID-19, because the team is usually relatively large and they pass through several borders, about 7 countries that they will normally pass.
This is a program, country program or out of the country cooperation with the UNCDF. The funding is coming from the EU, that's the European Commission, through UNCDF. And this is the first time that UNCDF is intervening in the Gambia. So now this is all about unlocking both public and private finances for the poor. So to be able to get that access to the poor, they thought it wise to partner with the Ministry of Lands and Regional Governance and Religious Affairs. But the technical institution that can best support this initiative is the Department of Community Development. So meaning the Department of Community Development is representing the ministry in this partnership. This is all about availing that opportunity to the youths and women to be employable. But what the project or program intends or aims at is to stabilize the country's economic, social, and security situation to the transition. So this is what it intends to do. The project has targeted or was first piloted in 2 of the regions in the upcountry, but it does not start yet in the urban centers, particularly the Banjul, the Canifings, and also West Coast. It is for now concentrating on the rural part of the Gambia. The project is designed in such a way that whatever allocation is being transferred to the ward accounts, 35% of that one is cash for work, sorry. And then the 65% of it will be spent on physical project implementation. So obviously, the local people will identify their own workers on the project, and those workers are going to be paid out of that 35%. So with that money, they are going to be listed or first recruited, workers will be recruited, and then that list will be submitted to those of our microfinance institutions that the project is also partnering with, be it Reliance and Q Money. Yes, challenges are almost inevitable in any program or project implementation. For JSF in particular, last year, that is 2019, we were able to at least go through most of our program activities before the end of the year. But for this 2020, we are seriously hampered by the COVID pandemic that has affected our outings and also some other program implementations.
The Gambia Social Safety Net project is a Gambia government initiative supported by World Bank. And the project has 3 components, but the component that concerns us most is the NAFA cash transfer component, locally called NAFA. NAFA is a Mandinka word meaning benefit. From the effectiveness of the project in January 2020, henceforth, I think a lot of activities are currently ongoing to kickstart the project implementation process. So, like I said, in the first component, that's the social registry. Currently, there is social protection secretariat that has been established. The secretariat has been established so far under the Ministry of, under the Vice President's office, that should be responsible for the coordination of social assistance and services, nationally. So that is one milestone or achievement that has been achieved as far as the project implementation is concerned. And besides the social registry, that's a platform where households within the project intervention regions and communities, each household should be registered, on that platform. So currently, that process is also in progress. GBOS, that's the Gambia Bureau of Statistics, has been contracted to facilitate that process. And I think as we speak right now, they are doing the listing. Is it household listing is in progress in the communities. So basically, as far as the first component is concerned, those are great achievements or strikes or milestones that have been achieved so far. So coming to the second component, that's the NAFA component. If you look at it, that project component is targeting over 15,000 households that will be giving unconditional cash transfer support for a period of 3 years. And each household should have a cash transfer, a transfer value of $3,000, which should be paid on bi-monthly basis. But that part of the project did not start yet because, as we know, this COVID, the COVID pandemic is one of the challenges that we are facing on that side. And the households that should also be recruited into the program, would be dependent on the social registry. So as I said, that social registry is currently in progress and it is not yet completed. So those over 15,000 households that will be recruited will be determined when the social registry is completed, that GBOS is currently working on. So, but when this global pandemic, that's the COVID, when it strikes, and the project management, the project steering committee level, they engaged the bank. The bank was engaged, as was the World Bank, to see if part of the project funds that is allocated to the NAFA component can be dished out to households, because we all know with this COVID, if you are not infected, but virtually every household is affected. Then the bank fortunately gave no objection to the project steering committee, and as a result, over 83,000 households are targeted for unconditional cash transfer in order to build their resilience to the socio-economic impact or effects of this COVID-19. So unlike the NAFA proper, the participants or the beneficiaries, households beneficiaries for this NAFA quick were identified based on the NDMA, that's the National Disaster Management Agency household list. As you may be aware, the NDMA also had, or how do you call it, had a package the food relief that was given to the households. So we use, instead of doing a fresh listing of households across the country, which may also have a resource dimension, we end up, we resort to the use of that list, in order to print coupons and vouchers for households that were enlisted or enrolled by NDMA. During the project negotiations, we as a department, we feel obviously there will be need to integrate, this financial literacy and entrepreneurship component, into the modules, SBCC modules that will be developed and will be delivered to the beneficiaries and also to community members through VSGs and VDCs. Because we feel if you give $3,000 every 2 months, you give $3,000 to a beneficiary household. After 3 years, when that stops, so where will he or she, get money, in order to, complement, what he or she was used to. So obviously, we feel that there will be need to integrate that component into the SBCC modules, so that the households, beneficiary households, would be able to have an idea with regards to how they can save part of that $3,000 that will be given to them. Let's say before 3 years, at least they can be able to operate, a petty trade somewhere, or an entrepreneurship, involved in an entrepreneurship activity that they could use as a sustainability mechanism. When this support ceased after 3 years, then they will be able to involve in other activities, income generating activities, through which they will be able to get money. So with respect to NAFA Quick, unconditional cash transfer that we're doing, I think the program is a successful one and it is moving smoothly, but we also face with challenges. Most fundamentally, I think that would be documentation, because this has to do with cash. So you cannot give cash to households without fulfilling the required documentations that we require. And in order to address that, we also allow them to come up. If at all you are a beneficiary and you have a coupon, you don't have any of these documentations, then we allow you to come with a procurator who can at least guarantee you and receive your money on your behalf.
For high quality fuel, right quantity, at the right time,
baadiŋolu ñimu kankularol ti ka bonan Gambia Revenue Authority GRA wala mansakunda la bundati min ka namu kanuŋo ke ko be jamamol be kala mutandi la ko ka risito di anin invoice solu e kule mi ya lon ko a ñantale pour min ya lon ko wolle la e safaro safeta pour ñim VAT bunda la mimo namu kanin bunda ñinte ibal hakilo bulandi la ko e VAT loi bunda mi ya lon ko wole lota Gambia kono jang 2012 sango ñin kono e fengo fende mi yalon ko wole mu sototi pour mole min yalon ko wolle ka supplyo ke wole mu ka masandiso lu wafi molma walla ka do ko ke mole e wati la mi yalon ko e mole a kanin ibulu e nyantale ka VAT la invoice wole mu wo kayto ila do ko walla masandiso damu minti nyanta wo lankene malel ye risito fanandi amarila wo kango kan GRA e be mol be hakilo bulandi la min yalon ko wolle ka masandiso sang walla ka mool bula do kola ado nyanta ke jow e se risito mute bulu e ka bo supply lal bulu mi yalon ko le mu e molti minu mu safar lati walla julolo pour nyin kamala ka danken ko ila namo nyin yewo jole a nyama ka sojondi nin vat bundala min yalon ko walla safeta nyimbe jiare bunda nyim mako la bakele pour namo mi yalon ko wala ka censu mol bulo nyin kono isaje ko wo kodo nyin ani mananko ni namo be dunta man sakundala aran keso nyinto katu ko won namo nyin ikamim bajo nyokan wala kay yelema ka depasiro ke man sakundala yirwa programme la banko nyin kan woto alalla namo jo a watola pour banko la yirwando.
Insight on the NDP television series, proudly sponsored by Gambia Revenue Authority, Gambia Ports Authority, Petrogas, and GNPC. Airing every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on GRTS, QTV, PTV, Star TV, and Sahel Network TV.
Rural Development Institute, and it is a training school, but it is a unit under Department of Community Development. And Department of Community Development is under Ministry of Lands and Regional Government. So the unit, as far as RDI is concerned, is a training wing of the department. It is responsible for producing the human resource needed by the department. The institute is running two major or regular programs. The first one is certificate level, which runs for 24 months, and that one is targeting people from grade 12. Basically, we expose them to extension skills, that is how best they can help communities to be able to identify their problems, to identify solutions to those problems, help communities to come up with proposals, and try to link them to potential donors, and also help them to coordinate all the development-related activities within the respective community. But other than those two, we also have other partnership programs that we run, because we have that understanding with some of the agencies like NEDI. We conduct trainings for them on a regular basis, and those trainings are basically for youths of various sectors, and we train them on business plan development and also entrepreneurial skills. So those are the three training areas, because the institute is basically for training. So those are the three training areas we are currently embarking on as far as the institute is concerned.
The Rural Development Institute is one of the best institutions in this country. I'll take myself as an example. I did my training here, 2 years certificate program. That skills gave me the opportunity to work without seeking for employment. At personal level, I do a lot of consultancies. I cannot attribute that to any other training other than the training I receive here. Currently, when our students finish their certificate level program, they are more marketable than those with a first degree from the university. When most of us are at community level, we work directly with them, engage them, use our training here to mobilize millions that are being used to support community development initiatives.
As far as the training is concerned, I gained a lot with regards to integrated approach to development. That in fact encouraged me to come back here in 2018 for another diploma program that was designed to improve our skills in integrated rural development.
In RDI here, I have learned so many things. Before I came to this institute, it's like, though I finished grade 12, but I was not having a knowledge about development. But after coming to RDI, I have learned many things. I have learned, we did here project planning, entrepreneurship here, business management. Even, for example, even if I am not employed now, I can do my own business and earn my own money without depending on any employment.
But actually the training I attended here, both my certificate and diploma has really impacted on me, which helped me to assist so many communities and institutions to develop.
RDI, I better understand, is one of the institutions in West Africa of its kind, in the whole of West Africa, where the development issues, development matters are being training is done on the development matters, rural development specifically. But RDI, this ministry, work with Ministry of Finance to see how we upgrade RDI in such a way that it will not only be dealing with development projects that goes to serve the community development, but also it will train some of our technical staff. We will bring in some models to train like surveyors, to train planners, because these are skills that you cannot acquire locally in the country. We don't have training centers for them, and then we still need them. But then that's why we working with Minister of Finance to see how we can have these models also incorporated in the training of RDI, to be able to at least have certificate training for our technicians, so that they understand issues and they understand what is at stake. They understand what they are doing.
Looking at the trainings we conduct for agencies like NEDI and others, all the participants are youths. And like I said, we train them, give them the necessary skills in regards to how you can initiate and establish a business. How can you manage an existing business? How can you plan your business, and then how can you embark on fundraising to at least start or continue a business? So if somebody is given those skills and he has everything intact, so we believe that person can employ himself and in turn can employ others. So that alone tells somebody that RDI is contributing their quota as far as job creation is concerned.
We have said the most important activity, the most important resources in development is human resources, the people. And that's what the department believes. And this is one of our strategies also, people-centered strategy, to ensure that people are involved in whatever we want them to benefit from. Once that is developed, other resources will actually be taken care of. The financial resources, the capital resources and others would be utilized correctly, because the human resources is built.
These are the projects that government is very, very keen in improving and supporting, because this project does help to reduce the rural-urban drift. So this particular project, where there is with UNCDF, they have this capacity building component. And also within this capacity building, they don't only train them for that particular project, but they train them to be able to handle any project. They train them on procurement matters, they train them on auditing matters, they train them on accounting matters. All these trainings are done to enable that structure, whether it's the WDC, that is the World Development Committee, or the Village Development Committee, to be able to have that capacity, to be able to handle not only that project that they are working on, but any project that comes that region now, they will have that capacity to handle it. Because there are a lot of other projects that might come, not only from this ministry, but other ministries or other supports.
Yeah, empowering the woman is key. That's why most of our activities are geared towards women's group. We train them on their roles and functions. How can they mobilize resources? Like we give them a milling machine, they would like men to be operators. We are now telling women, be your own operators, keep your own resources. So we train women to be in charge of their own monies. And some of the groups are doing very well now. I've seen a group that we gave them a milling machine. They are able to buy their own milling machine. That is empowerment of women. And that contributes to national development.
National Development Plan is working, and the ministry also, the activities are helping in the attainment of the National Development Plan activities. Decentralization, we have to understand, is one of the ways a country can develop. If we look at developed countries, you realize that they have decentralized. And to achieve this decentralization, we have to do it in phases.
Our contribution to National Development Plan is eminent, as #1 National Development Plan has, emphasized on good governance and empowerment of people. This is what the department is currently pursuing, improving the capacity of the people, training the people, organizing the people, sensitizing the people, enabling them to participate in their own activities.
Even this Zakeno issue that we are coming up, we have looked at what areas of the NDP is this Zakeno activity going to address. And we realize that it is addressing strategy goal 1 and 4. 1 is about the governance and 4 is about capacity building.
So as far as National Development Plan is concerned and its funding, the Antwerp-Banjul Challenge is supporting our National Development Plan, looking at various projects that we support, from agriculture to education to water supply and sanitation to all other sectors.
And we know definitely we have a great stake in the implementation of the National Development Plan. We are talking about people-centered development. No development can be sustainable when people do not have the required capacity to be able to sustain that development. So that's why priority must be given to development of the people, then any other form of development can follow suit. So I think that is critical, and as far that's our mandate as a government institution, to build the capacity of decentralized institutions and community-based institutions, so that people can see themselves as part of the development process, and people can see themselves as having the capacity and the responsibility to facilitate their own development process. So I think that is critical.